All right, awaiting a White House briefing where maybe a question or two on Comey and Russia and special prosecutors, special commissions might come up. I don't know. In the meantime, we've got Florida Republican Congressman Ron Desantis. I forget how young this guy is. Anyway, he's here right now. Very good to see you, Congressman.
Good to see you.
What do you think of the whole Comey thing? Many have said it's going to be a distraction, but a distraction that will hurt Republicans because it might push back action on health care, action on taxes. What do you think?
Well, I think two things. One is his termination was justified on the merits, and I think since then there have been conflicting rationales. The original justification and the reason why a lot of us had problems with him originally was how he handled this Clinton thing. There's going to be an IG report that comes out very soon within DOJ, and I'll bet you they'll take him to task similar to that memo did, and probably more, probably more so.
But so, we got a lot of those different vibes, Congressman, came from the president.
I know.
Right?
And so
does that worry you?
Well, it makes it more difficult. I mean, there's nothing preventing the Senate from doing a good health care bill, even if there's this other stuff going on, and they're working hard at it. But it doesn't make...
By the way, that could be a health care bill very different than the one you guys came up with.
Well, and I hope that they do a better one. So it makes it more difficult.
You're not worried that they trash everything you guys did?
No, look, I think that they got a lot of good people over there. And my prediction, we were talking about it earlier, they get 50 Republican votes for a product. That means you got to get people like Ted Cruz and Mike Lee, Rob. You got to get a bunch of different people. I think that vehicle could pass the House without even going to conference at that point.
What about the tax cut thing? There's a sentiment building that is going to get pushed back because everything's getting pushed back. And if it's a next year development, it's just not happening.
I hope it's not next year. I mean, I wanted those tax cuts retroactive to January 1st of this year because I think that would have been added growth in the economy. But you have to do health care first. Forget even about the budget baseline. You got to do a new budget in order to get to the tax reform instructions to do reconciliation. So if this health care ends this summer, you can immediately do a budget, get the tax instructions. And, of course, they are working on the tax plan as we speak. I mean, it's not like they have to wait to work on it, but you do have to wait to pass it unless you just abandon health care and then go on to a different budget, which we're not going to do. We're going to get health care done one way or another.
Congressman, there had been talk that when it comes to tax cuts, should they be revenue neutral? The president himself told The Economist, no, I don't think that matters. I think you have to, I'm paraphrasing here, sir, but that you have to go into deficits a little bit before you start seeing the return on that. Do you agree with that?
So I don't think there's a difference between revenue neutral and deficit neutral.
Right.
If it's not revenue neutral, that's fine with me. There's nothing preventing us from capping spending.
What if it makes deficits a lot worse in the near term?
Well, I would like to see it paired with spending reduction. So I'm totally fine with it not being revenue neutral, but the thing is, the way they score it, it's always going to be scored against the taxpayer and in favor of the government. So we kind of start behind the 8 ball with that anyways.
Absolutely.
But I think the key is get the tax policy right, and then I would say make the accommodations on the spending side. Don't make sure it's revenue neutral where your taxes are getting cut, this guy's taxes are being raised. That's not going to give us the type of growth that we need most likely.
Do you think that the president is the one hurting his agenda? And you can accept or not the way he handled the Comey situation. I agree with you. We're kind of in a no-win situation there. But that now talk about, Comey better not speak out of turn. It could be taped conversations. And that's going to lead to a lot of questions at the briefing today. But that he himself is like a loose cannon, which helps and hurts. It got him elected President of the United States. But as President of the United States, he's kind of all over the map.
Well, I think the tweeting is a double-edged sword. He is right. He goes around the media, can speak directly to the people, call out the media when he needs to. And that has been
Do you tweet your constituents?
Not really. I mean, we do some, but I mean...
Do you think a president should?
Well, the thing is, it's just today now with the Comey thing about taping stuff. Well, guess what? Members of Congress are then going to ask, oh, are you taping people in the White House? Can we get a copy of this? And it opens up a big can of worms that then he's going to have to deal with.
I'm sorry, if he did tape conversations, because you could immediately ask, well, if he was taping Comey, he was taping others, right?
So it will lead to calls from Congress to do oversight over some of these conversations. And it's frustrating because he had been frustrated with the NSA intercepts.
That's right.
And I think legitimately so. I thought that some of those things were concerning.
Well, are you in a camp that says we need a special prosecutor, independent commission, or is that just feeding into his critics?
This is why it's so frustrating. I would not even assign a prosecutor to a case unless there was evidence of a crime. There's no evidence of any criminal
so it's like
conduct
a search and
here.
destroy mission,
So there's
right?
a big bunch of smoke, but there's not been any evidence of a fire, and so that's why I think some of this is frustrating.
That's a very good distinction you made there, Congressman, because in the case of a Watergate prosecutor, Archibald Cox was later fired by Richard Nixon, replaced by another one down the road. There was a crime that had been committed.
Absolutely.
And this was following up on it, and the bigger crime tended to
And
be
the FBI in this case is doing a counterintelligence investigation about Russia, which is totally legitimate. That's much different than saying the president or anyone associated with him is under criminal investigation. There's no evidence of that, no evidence of collusion.
Do you believe the president then that, this ultimately a Senate matter, to your point, but that Comey had assured him that he wasn't a source of that investigation or a target of that investigation?
I think Chuck Grassley, the senator in charge of the Judiciary Committee, indicated in a statement in front of the committee that, Comey indicated to us that there was really no criminal conduct here. So I think it's important for them to know.
He told me as much yesterday that he, without saying it, he said that.
So I think the president gets frustrated. Now, it's understandable. You have the Russian hacking stuff, which is legitimate. The media is very reckless in how they will then act like it's an investigation of him personally, and there's no evidence that that's the case. So I think understandable frustration there, but we got to get this stuff done right. And the Comey stuff, the decision was sound, but I think since then there's obviously been some hiccups.
But you said, this obsession with anything Russia related, yet that's all the president tweets about.
I think he's frustrated. I mean, if you look just the last 2 days, the media has run with things that have been proven false. They said Comey was looking for resources. That may be why he was fired. McCabe said, no, not true at all. Maybe the investigation was being obstructed. McCabe said, no way. We're going full throttle, no problem there. And, the media doesn't put the corrections on the front page. So
two Washington Post stories that were later had to be dialed back. Back in your district in Florida in general, crucial state, if you think about it, what are they thinking? What are they telling you about what's going on?
Well, I think Trump did very well in Florida, and I think a lot of the people that voted for him are sticking with him. And I think I have heard people say, I wish he didn't tweet, I wish he didn't do that, but I think they view him as being treated very unfairly by the mainstream media, and I think that they tend to sympathize with him, and obviously they want to see him succeed on doing the health care, the taxes, the border wall, some of these things that he campaigned on, and I think that a lot of them view the Democrats as basically having one position now. Whatever Trump does, they're against. So even things that they would have liked in the past, they're now opposing because Trump's supporting it. And so I think amongst Trump's supporters, I think there's a lot of frustration with how the environment in Washington works.
All right. Congressman Ron DeSantis, very good seeing you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very, very much.